cannot amend 1999 Constitution and say you are doing anything that will benefit the people. People are eating. They are at an advantage and they don't want to lose that advantage. You cannot amend a lie. The 1999 Constitution says we Nigerians.
We the people.
We the people of Nigeria. Who are the people? So in the first instance, the Constitution wasn't a people's constitution.
I think the matter is getting serious. You know, since this Yoruba nation, the leader of this group, since they submitted this letter to Tinubu, the separation of this country, a regional system of government to separate this country. So everybody, every region will go and manage their own region. We don't need order from the federal government again. So everybody will go and go to their region and manage and develop their region. So to solve this problem once and for all, because if we continue to be one Nigeria, it's not helping, it's not going to help. So this bill now is, I think they are pushing forward and they are really doing a lot. I just hope as the way they are serious about it, within the next 2 years, who knows, anything could have happened. So just take your time, listen to this man as he explained. So and please, I'll be your guy now. Run this thing for me now. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'll be your guy. Subscribe, please.
That you have submitted a letter, a draft bill to the presidency after some initial issues around the propriety of sending it to the House of Representatives, basically seeking to have Nigeria restructured. Tell us why this is your concern at this point, what the draft bill is about, and what are you trying to achieve? Are you speaking for yourself, or are you speaking for either the Afenifere or the Yoruba Elders Council?
Thank you very much. So many questions are rolled into one. The bottom line is that it is now time. The time has come for us to change the structure of Nigeria. If we don't do it now, and we go into the next election in 2017 with what we have now.
2027, sir.
Then we are doing the same 27. Then we are doing the same things and the same way, and we're expecting a better result. We don't have a good outcome of what we have had in 2023. We've not a good outcome of what we have had since the beginning of 1999, this administration, this dispensation. So it is time for this country to do something in the next couple of months. And being a student of Nigerian politics at my age, I know, for instance, you cannot get anything done through National Assembly as a private member, private citizen. It will not fly. It will just die in the committee. It's only the president that can forward a bill to National Assembly that has a very high chance of passage. What I did was to articulate the features of what should be in a restructured Nigeria, put it in a document, and forward it as a suggestion to the president of Nigeria, because he's the only one sitting on the throne now. It's now left to him to really go deep into a sense of nationalism and patriotism, to do something about it, because thinking of second term or whatever time it is, the country is bleeding profusely. There is a news yesterday about government having borrowed $4.5 billion, this administration alone. We are borrowing money to service bureaucracy, 36 states of consumption, 774 local governments of profligacy. There is no money to do anything serious for the masses again. So the country has to look at what is restructuring. You want to change the system for efficiency, for resource, for good management of resources, for the goodness of many people. That's what restructuring is about. It's time this country takes it serious. And if we don't do anything the next few months, we go into 2027, we'll be in a very big trouble. That was my motivation.
Okay, so elaborating on the key components of your proposed new governance model for Nigeria Act 2024, let's talk about its economic implication and how it would affect governance efficiency. How do you anticipate that this proposed regional system will improve it? I'm talking about this governance efficiency compared to the current 36-state structure. And what are the economic benefits that you foresee arising from the restructuring, particularly regarding resource management and development?
In the first instance, the citizens of Nigeria have no ownership of the Nigerian polity. There's a big gulf between the citizens and the politicians. They are doing what they like because everything is centered on Abuja. wants to do everything to rig election, to kill, to take talks, wants to emerge in Abuja, is just to be sharing oil money. There's no intentions, and there's no chance really, because you have to buy SUVs, you have to buy new cars and all that. Okay, now the proposal to regionalize is to have a new center of prosperity, a new center of production. I might talk about it later on. We have proposed 8 regions of Nigeria. And if properly managed and constituted, it will be, and use it for your own welfare. Now, there are many novel provisions in my document that will change the system. For instance, we are now going to have a 2-tier governance structure properly. We don't have it now. The first tier has a constitution. All second tier must have its own constitution that's organically developed. So if you have any of the 8 regions, they were supposed to go and draft their own constitution, their own governance model that now make Nigeria, and that will make them responsible, make them take ownership of their affairs. That's very, very important. Secondly, the election system will change totally. In fact, there is no federal elections anymore, which is very wasteful. Almost 300 million naira was spent by INEC last time. Under my proposal, each of the 8 regions will be given a slot of maybe 20 members. How they elect it at their local level is up to them. Once the 20 members of each region come to Abuja, making 160, it is that 160 members of parliament among themselves, all elected, that will decide on the president, will decide on the prime minister. And then all ministers, federal executive will be composed from the parliament. So the present system where you appoint advisors, appoint ministers anyhow, will cease, absolutely. So in the parliament system, the cost of governance will be reduced. An elected parliament member will be funded by his own region. So you are not going to pay unified salaries for everybody. The western region might pay a certain amount, northeast region might decide to do whatever, south region might decide to even give whatever to their member based on their own resources. So this one size fit all that we have been practicing, it will give way to a kind of a reasonable way to run affairs of the government. And the people elected will now know that they are answerable to the people, because their salary will be paid by their region, not by Abuja. And that means you can fire them, you can recall them if they are not doing what they are supposed to do. When I mean fire, it means the regional legislator can make a resolution to say, Mr. X, you are not representing us in Abuja properly.
Yes,
we are withdrawing you.
Right now, we have the ability to recall our representatives, don't we? So how is that different? Because right now we can recall we can recall our House of Reps members, for example.
We don't, because the state assemblies now are not functioning the way it's supposed to function. If you have a regional 8 parliaments, then they have more organic force to decide how they to be represented. Don't forget, now it will be 8 centers of competition. What we have now, 36 governors, they only come to Abuja to take allocation. When they take allocation, it's like a personal grant for them. They pay salaries, they pay some pension. The rest of the money, nobody knows, and nobody is accountable. But once you have a proper parliament of a region, it will carry more weight. People will have ownership. And then looking to Abuja all the time for solution, no, you look to your own region. This is how it was in the 60s. Nothing wrong about it. Western region then was functioning as a semi-autonomous part of Nigeria. The then government in the Western region was doing what is right for the West. The East was doing the same. The North was doing the same. If we continued with that framework, we will have been in different country by now.
Okay, sir, thank you. Now, in your proposal, you say that the federal government should compromise of no more than 9 ministries and ministers, adding that the United States has just 15 cabinet ministers, while Nigeria is not even up to just a state of Texas or New York, which is, I found really fascinating, because New York State does have a budget this year of over $200 billion, close to $250 billion, whereas Nigeria is not going to generate even a quarter of that income this year. We're not expected to generate generate that much money. Now, do you think that our current system is overburdened, where we have a system with over 40 ministers? And do you believe, especially relating it to the conversation around minimum wage, do you believe that this is why the federal government or the governors are saying that they cannot afford a minimum wage is because they are paying the higher levels high wages, and we have too many ministries and too many ministers and not a large enough economy or budget?
You put your finger right on the point. In 1967, we started creating states. We started balkanizing Nigeria into small units. Everybody wanted to have a state of his own. Every little piece of Nigeria wanted to have its own territory. So we have so many governors, so many local government chairmen. When money was surplus, all the money was flowing in the 70s and the 80s. Fair enough, but the country is now broke. All money is going to recurrent expenditure. We are borrowing even to pay salaries. It makes sense economically, therefore, that you have to cut down unless you bleed to death. So if we have just 8 ministers, it means we have cut down the cost of governance drastically. And don't forget, as I said a few minutes ago, the ministers now and their assembly members will be paid by their region. They are not going to come to Abuja to claim any oil money that is being shared allocation. So in that case, whoever pays the piper will dictate the tune. For example, one region might say, if you are coming to Abuja to represent us, you must have your own house in Abuja. We are not going to give you accommodation. You must have succeeded in your life before. You must have your own car. No car for you. It now be a voluntary service. Nigeria has a pool of so many retired people like me that are just waiting away, that are ready to offer voluntary service to the country. But politicians will invest 100 million in election because they want to get 200 million back. So this dog eat dog and just winner takes all system has to give way. It will replace. I know it's not going to be very easy at all. It's not going to be a tea party. I know. But the country must be sensitized now that what we are doing now is not working. It will never work for us. We will remain slaves in our country. We drove the white people away. We now have black people that are lording over us, and it's going to be a big contest to really make them see reason. We cannot fight them because they are Nigerians. We have to keep appealing and keep putting pressure until they know that they have to do the right thing.
All right, Dr. Fakunda, thank you so much. But I'm wondering, why do you think that the current president, the sitting president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will be interested in your proposal? This is a man who campaigned and has said that he is on track to making sure that Nigeria fulfills its potential. Why therefore, do you think that he will be willing to push this bill and submit it as an executive bill to go into regional government, when as of today his focus seems to be the empowerment of the local government, all the 774 of them, with the 36 state governors, so that these governors they will no longer be able to treat local government chairmen as their appendages. So what is in a president who was elected by Nigeria, what is in it for him that you think is better than what he's already doing? And how do you think that this aligns with what a few House of Representative lawmakers are saying regarding parliamentary system of government, and a similar proposal but in a slightly different way, without necessarily going into regionalism that you are proposing?
Thank you very much. From all indications, I'll be honest with you, it will appear that the president did not prepare adequately for governance. What am I saying that? If he did, the way he announced petrol subsidy removal, there ought to have been, he had February to May that he won election. He ought to have prepared a detailed plan on how to transit from subsidy to no subsidy. Okay, fine. Governance in Nigeria is complicated and it's not very easy. So we have to support him. We have to wish him well. We have to make proposals for him to consider. We cannot leave governance to him alone. We are all citizens, we are not conquered. So somebody like me and many other women Nigerians now have to make him see reason on why it is good. And I trust his good judgment. I trust his humanity. I trust his sense of patriotism, that he will not just see a good idea and just throw it away for the sake of it. Even at the cost of the so-called second term, if somebody said, look, I will rise and make a name for myself and really change this country for prosperity, I'm optimistic that now that we put document into the public space, all Nigerians are talking about it. In matter of fact, I'm so mesmerized with the response I've got on this document. It seems the country is yearning for a document, an idea that they can buy into. So the security services, I know they like monitor what is going on. If they are monitoring the content of people's discussion, they will have seen now that there's a game changer in the atmosphere. And I might say that as today is a religious day, our brethren were Muslims. In the Christian environment, the wall of Jericho did not just come down. It took concerted pressure and push. Existing orders will not give way unless citizens demand it. Power is not granted a la carte. While we trust the president to do what is right, we have to push him. So I'm appealing to all Nigerians to take this idea. It's beyond me now. I just wrote a document, 18 pages, and everybody is buying into it. We now have to go further and talk to the senators, parliament members. We need a change. We cannot continue what we are doing now and hope for the best. And in my document, at page 7 or thereabout, I propose the fact that we must have leadership councils in the new proposed 8 regions to take ownership and demand accountability and demand the National Assembly should not keep ignoring Nigerians. They ignored Nigerians on the matter of their buying vehicles for themselves. Nigerians shouted at the top of their voices against buying SUVs, but they stuck to their guns, which made them realize that it cannot continue like that. They must live and act according to the will of the people. So it's a big battle, it's a big pressure, but I trust their good judgment too, because we are all Nigerians. They themselves will not be happy the way we are now. It's in the record. In my own state, one legislator went on with SUV. He was nearly killed with the SUV. The masses are not happy with the National Assembly. They have to get their acts correct. Change has to come before the next elections, absolutely. The president has to do the needful, and I'm praying for him to do the needful, to see the reason with Nigerians and put his name on the marble of time.
But it was reported just last week that this same bill was disowned by the House of Representatives, whose spokesman Akinrotimi and the chairman Committee on Rules and Business said that it had not been listed for deliberation in the ongoing moves to review the 1999 Constitution. Now, given this recent, let's say, disowning of the bill by the House of Reps, I want to know what strategies that you have in place to address the political resistance and continue to gain a broader support for it.
Well, I never intended to go through the route of National Assembly because their own modality has been clear since 1999. Every 4 years, they budget 1 trillion naira now to modify or alter or amend Constitution. People are uncharitable will say, oh, it's just money for the boys, they are not really doing anything, but I will not go that far. When they inaugurated the committee early this year, they said they want to amend some areas of the Constitution. Amendment is not enough. We need to make a fundamental change. So when Akinrotimi, my friend, I spoke to him, he didn't use the word disown. The disown is just a creation of the press. He just said this bill is not with them in the National Assembly, which is an accurate statement. I never wanted it to be submitted to National Assembly because it would die in the committee. My own approach was to produce a document that has features of what will be good for Nigeria. Put it in the public space for people to see whether it's a good idea or not. Now, after 2-3 weeks of public discourse on it, it appears as if there is some traction on my ideas. It now got to the point where, fine, people seem to like this thing for discussion and they see merit in it. The correct route is executive bill. It's only the president that can authorize the Attorney General to draft a bill in the language of parliament and submit it for National Assembly. We have precedences. In 1999, Obasanjo came in. He brought in EFCC and ICPC bill, executive. It was passed with no delay. Okay, in the last 3 weeks, the president submitted the bill, indicated interest in change of national anthem. It was passed within a week. So I'm not just acting in a vacuum. I know the way to go is to persuade the president as to the reason of my argument. Having done that now, last Thursday, I repackaged my document, modifying all the issues I've listened to in the last 3 weeks. I submitted a formal letter, a request to the office of President Bola Tinubu. I delivered it to his office. It was stamped, received. I sent a copy to Senate President. I gave a copy to the Speaker House of Representatives. The ball is now in their court. They cannot now say they don't know what Nigerians are saying. I presume and I hope that they will treat this as a very serious request by citizens. And I want citizens to join me. I've done my own duty now. And I thank Arise News for allowing this platform to make this appeal. It's for all Nigerians to buy into it. My proposal is not silver bullet 100%, but let Nigerians look at it and sift out the best that will work, and let the government send the bill to their. And then I must say, the document is not the constitution itself. It is for National Assembly to pass a law that will kickstart the process of getting a new constitution. I'm trying to cure the defect in 2014 confab that has no enabling law. What we're asking for now is a bill to enable, to empower and ignite a process in the next 1 year that will lead to a new constitution for Nigeria, number one. Number two, regional constitutions for the region that are approved. We are now going to have effectively 2 tiers of government. Each will have its own instrument of polity, which is a constitution. That's a very fundamental dispatch of what we have now, where we have one constitution covering everything in a unitary way. So the process is on, and it's not a cut and dry thing. We are going to keep pushing and keep pressing, and I'm optimistic that things will come out eventually.
Thank you, sir. Now, I'd just like to ask about maybe the practicality of some of your suggestions. For example, speaking on the Western region, you included the Bini people, the Ogoni, the Ishan, the Yoruba, but you also said there's an option for the Southern region to include the Akoko Edo people and the Ishakiri of Delta states. So within this, it seems to be tribal divisions, even within states. How do you believe that it is practical to divvy up states in this manner? And do you believe that by separating people who are currently members of the same state, such as the Isha and the Bini and the Akoko Edo, and people within Edo states, do you believe that by separating these people, that it would make your suggestions very hard to practically implement? And do you believe that in doing this, or carving up the regions in this way, that you'll create new minorities and possibly new tensions within these regions?
That is not true. Respectfully, I must state. Take the Western region. Get in my document, the Western region, we include the Okuns and the Buminas of Kogi and Kwara. And then Akoko Edo, Ishekiri, optional. If there are to be a plebiscite, nobody is going to, it's not a military regime. The document is for discussion. At every step in the next 1 year, there will be a move to ascertain the wish of the people. The Okuns and the Buminas have been claiming that they are more at home with the Yoruba Western region. So there will be a decision to test it out. If the result comes 55% yes, then they move. Ishekiri is also, they'll be claiming that they are more Yorubas than otherwise. They will be given the chance to decide. But the most important thing now is that in each of the 8 regions, they are going to have a constitution. In the constitution there now, there will be provision to protect minorities. In fact, rotation now of senatorial whatever is based on convention, but there will be a chance now to do a regional constitutional provision that will empower people to have rights within the region. I must point out to viewers, United States, election does not make president in the United States. Raw numbers. There's electoral college. Mr. Clinton won the votes by almost 3 million. But she didn't become president because there's a gerrymandering districting that gave powers to Wyoming, Nebraska, and some states, so that they are not overwhelmed by New York or by California. It is there in the United States Constitution. People don't see it. So each region will have to craft out a means of assuring everybody else. As a further example, I know Western region very well. It will apply to other regions too. In Western region of Nigeria, there are 26 identified subnationalities that have territories. We have Ilaje, we have Yewa, we have Ijebu, we have Ijesha, we have Ekiti, we have Ondo, like that. Each of these some nationalities have to identify themselves, their worries. Nobody will be left out. So we have a chance now to redraw the equation of relationships. Any group of people that have territorial space must have to be accommodated in their regional constitution. Nigerian one constitution cannot accommodate 500 people, but region will have a smaller number and they will accommodate themselves. Overall, we have to change. It's not going to happen one day. When there are regions, there will still be discussion, but there is exit clause, there is aggregation clause, there is disaggregation clause. There are so many mechanisms that will give you freedom to do things. So in the South, they can create provinces, as many as they want to create. Each region can do what it wishes based on what it suits their environment. That's the beauty of what I'm proposing.
All right, Dr. Fapola, thank you. I asked the other time why you think that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be obliged. You didn't quite answer that, so I would like to rephrase the question. This is a president who says it is his time to rule. And if I get you right, you said that even if it cost him his second term, that this is a legacy that he should give to Nigerians. For clarity, sir, are you saying that if Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu buys into this proposal, the likelihood of him not returning as president for second term is there? That's one. Number two is that you have alluded to the fact that your proposal is generating a lot of discourse online. That's correct. But one of the things that people are also mentioning is the fact that, yeah, this may look fairly okay on paper, even though it probably represents a generation, the thinking of a generation, the same generation that wanted to return to the old national anthem. But then even if it flies, what about the key people, players, same politicians who will still be in the 8 regions that you have proposed? Will they suddenly become angels? If it flies, will they not be given to corruption anymore? Will they not be self-serving? Those are the issues that people are raising about your proposal, sir. How do you deal with that aspect? People will have to implement this proposal. The same people.
The President Jonathan made a very fundamental mistake in seeking second full term. If he were to be properly advised at that time, 24 confab had draft bills, what he could sign executive order to implement immediately. If it was sufficiently patriotic, he would have approved so many things that were just low-hanging fruits. And now it's just lamenting outside. He's enjoying the situation, no problem about that. Now, single tenure. The president under what I propose now is not an executive president. He's a ceremonial father of the nation status. It's the prime minister that will run the government. And the prime minister is not even absolute in his powers. He's prime minister in council. Everything will be based on council decisions. He cannot approve Lagos-Calabar Expressway without a formal express council of ministers approval. And don't forget, the ministers this time around will be elected members of parliament. If they don't agree with the prime minister, they can withdraw from the executive and go back to their seats in the parliament because they are representing their people. There are so many provisions that will change what we have now. We are not grafting what we have now to what is to be. Totally new system. I want Nigerians to read and study the document properly. So, President Tinubu has a grace of God. Nobody knows he will be president. He's free to decide whether he wants to play God or not. But I have confidence in his good nature and his being a nationalistic, patriotic person. Let him wear that cap. And for how many years did the Muritala spend in the Nigerian government? How many years? We see the fact of what he has done. They brought Abuja into place. We can save all the things that Muritala did in less than 6 months. It's not how long, but how well. Now, as a matter of attitude, change is very difficult. Can you imagine if India and Pakistan are still together up to today? If India and Bangladesh are still one country today, will they be quiet the way it is there? Attitude of everybody, change is very difficult. If individually, you have served 35 years in government, you know your retirement is age of 60, but you are still G3, you don't want to go. The fear of the unknown is there.
Okay.
But it takes somebody like me to know that change is permanent and you have to change. We will change. We have to keep talking and we have to keep persuading. That's what I believe.
All right, so the president should sacrifice his own ambition to rule for the greater good of the nation. That's what I think that you are trying to say there. But I do get you, sir, Dr. Akefakunda. He might still win, okay, as a ceremonial president. Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Dr.